but you just gotta remember the reason, why you started this in the first place.
I always tell people like the only reason you're not going to get a job is if you give up. It's that simple.
I felt trapped. I'd never be able to fully realize my potential as a human being.
What did that feel like for you to get that first offer there? Yo, what's up, guys? This episode is very different than what we have normally done. In this episode, I actually go through step by step what me and my client Matt Ansley did to help him land 3 tech sales offers within just 1 month, coming from a healthcare administration office manager background, no real tech experience in his background at all. This one's going to be really interesting because we're going to go through the actual journey we took to get him to where he is. Enjoy. Let's start with where you started, right? Like before Sword, before you and I got connected. Give me the high level. I know you obviously you're working an office manager job, kind of a dead end thing, 3 hour commute, and you really have a passion for combating sex trafficking, right? So
Right.
like give us your background before you and I got connected. What was life like?
Yeah, so before you and I got connected, my daily routine was, wake up around 6 a.m., leave the house by 7, drive an hour 30 to an hour 37 minutes to and from work. Then I would work 9 to 12, 2 hour break, and then from 2 to 6. And then I'd have to drive home. And sometimes I wouldn't even make it back into my town until 7:30. And then I still have to hit my workout. I still have to meal prep. And
Mm,
so I didn't have any time or resources that I could devote to my calling, you know. So
mm.
I just
Tell me
felt
about your
trapped.
calling.
Yeah, so my calling is I want to become as financially well off as possible so I can travel the world and fight human trafficking.
Come on, bro. That's like, you've seen Taken, right?
Yes, I have.
I
Yes.
dude, just because you talk like Liam Neeson, you have like his tone. I'm like, bro, you're about to get some bad guys, man. I'm proud of you. It's gonna be fun.
Thank you.
So to break that down a little bit before we get specifically into tech sales, you need the financial resources and really the freedom and flexibility to be able to go do that, right? And so is that why you thought of sales as like the path that's going to give you both money and flexibility, or how did sales enter your radar?
Yeah, so sales really entered my radar whenever I got my first sales job. I realized that, wow, if I just go sell a few cell phones here, in my first ever sales job, they kind of leave me alone. They don't get on to me. I can do my own thing. And
Yeah.
so the idea was that by choosing a sales job, that I could have more freedom, more flexibility, and I could earn more money than I could working a normal salary job where I'm not really held to any real performance standards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really about, it's sort of entrepreneurial, sort of like working like an entrepreneur, but also
Mhm.
not being in business for yourself.
Yeah,
You're
man.
with someone.
Yeah, I love it. And from my understanding, you already knew about tech. You were trying to get into tech on your own. Wasn't really working. We got connected. How did we get connected? What was the journey from you like actually learning about Sword to deciding to work with us?
Yeah, so I think I recall seeing you on an Instagram advertisement, and I was like, oh, it's just another course seller. I
Another
could do this
guru
on
out
my
there. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
and and then I just scheduled the call with the Joel guy,
Hmm.
and we had that quick chat, and I was like, I don't need to pay for this program. And then I made it to the final round of this interview with a tech company with a nice base salary commission, and I didn't get past the cold calling interview round. So
Mm,
that was the point where I was like, okay, that sent me over the ledge. I'm gonna, sign on for this mentorship and see what happens because I'm done
yeah.
losing.
Were you nervous to join?
Yeah, I was nervous, because I've never invested in, a program this extensive before, and I have bought courses in the past. So I was like, you know, what if this, works for other people, but not for me? What if this doesn't work out for me?
Mm.
And then, it actually ended up working out for me pretty well, I'd say.
I was gonna say, man, I did. I did the math from your first interview, which we're going to look at in a second. We're actually going to look at your whole journey through the program on Slack together. It's going to be fun. Um, but dude, 19 days from your first interview to your first job offer. That's it. 19 days.
Wait, I did it
Yep.
that quickly. I
That
didn't
quickly.
realize that.
Now the reason we kept you in the program longer is because you accepted your first job offer. Then you were waiting for this second job offer. You got that one from the job you took. And then there was like a third job at the end where you were like, hey, this one looks kind of good. And then we ultimately decided on the second one. But dude, 3 job offers within the span of a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a stark contrast from where I used to be, which was, applying to 10 to 20 jobs every day across Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, getting no replies. As soon as I applied the sword method, I had too many interviews to fit inside of a week. So
Yeah. I remember a couple combos where, you were having a bad day as the office manager, you're pissed off, you're like, dude, I don't think I can do this anymore. And man, you had a ride. So let me share a screen. Let's look at your journey together. Um, all right, cool. So you can see our chat here. Word. So you jump in November 4th and welcome brother. What's up? Where did Roll Tide come from, by the way? Are you just like full Bama? Is that what we're rocking here?
yeah, I just graduated from Alabama. It's just something I say now.
I love it. I love it, man. Roll Tide everywhere. So we get you onboarded. We look at this handsome headshot, and the first thing we do is put your resume together. So if I pop this open, we can take a look at your resume and see what we did. What was your resume like prior to Sword? Do you remember?
I do remember. It was like a black and white, old-timey resume, the kind
Yeah.
that colleges recommend that you write. It's like, hey, employers want it in this font, in this order, in this organization.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah, dude. So you had kind of the standard newspaper resume, right? That everyone has in college. We've all been there. Um, what did you notice right away about like the updates we made to your resume? Like what was significant to you that you felt like made a difference?
Firstly, it was the pattern interruption, because like you said, whenever recruiters are going through their applicant tracking system, it's like click, 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 and then out of nowhere, you see my resume with my face on it. You're like, who's this guy? And then also having those references on there, I think it really helped add some credibility, even if they weren't called. And I also enjoyed how we were able to like, properly rewrite my experience such that
Yeah.
it really displayed my key metrics that I was responsible for in the results I provided.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a great example, and we did a really good job together on turning your experience as an office manager into a very sales oriented role. And that's possible. Like whatever job you're doing, you're somehow involved in sales. I promise you. Right. So like even for you, man, um, your office manager job, what you're really doing is managing a pipeline of appointments. You're doing daily calls every single day, right? Like these are very SDR tasks. Because you're helping people check in and show up to appointments at the right time and managing the schedule, you're bringing revenue into this practice, right? And these are things I don't think people think of their job as like a sales job, but when you look at an office manager job this way, it's like, bro, you absolutely were involved in a lot of SDR type tasks. Yeah, so we get your resume together and work through that, start scrolling down. Now we get your LinkedIn set up. So your LinkedIn, we are kind of trying to update it to look like these are the changes you made on it, which were phenomenal, right? Like we got the banner in there, got your headshot in there, um, Bible verse, greatest uncle. I love that human touch, man, of just like something you care about personally. I think that's something people need to do is on LinkedIn, you should show your personality. And I think you do that really well, Matt, with yourself as a professional. Like you're very professional, but you're also you and
But
you embrace yourself. And then enthusiastic salesman. So yeah, when it came to the LinkedIn portion, do you remember anything that was interesting about that, unique, challenging, or was it all pretty straightforward?
Seemed pretty straightforward.
You reached 500 plus connections. Let's go. So this is like early, early, man. This is you, what, 6 days into the program. We're just getting your profile stood up, everything like that. We do our onboarding call, and then you start getting into Apollo. We get you set up. What was the journey into Apollo like? Because you had never used Apollo before or anything like it.
I don't want to come off as cocky when I say this, but I really feel like Apollo is just simple to use.
Mm.
Now, granted, right at first there was a lot of different tabs to click on. Like sometimes I'd get it mixed up between, the people, personality profile, and I'd be looking for the right thing in the wrong section. But other than that, those little 5, 10 second dilemmas, it was really intuitive and easy to use.
Yeah. And was it weird for you having to actually cold call people and like do this stuff, or were you game for it?
Right at the beginning, I thought it might be a little to cold call someone and message them just out of the blue, but I did have prior experience as a cold caller for real estate, and I got used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah. There you go. You just threw yourself in there. And then for the people that are listening that are like, yo, that's scary to cold call a manager or a recruiter. What was the response in general from these people? Was it 50-50, hit or miss, or what was kind of like the temperature towards you?
Hey, 9 times out of 10, it was really well received, response. They were impressed on the number. I found their email that I was reaching out to them directly. Even the SDRs welcomed the fact that I was reaching out to them directly at the company, even though they weren't the hiring manager.
Mm, that's good. That's good. So I think that's a big misconception people have is that you're going to be like annoying these managers or they're not going to want you to cold call them. But I'm telling you guys, like Matt's saying it, they 9 out of 10 times appreciate it. Now that 1 out of 10 is kind of hilarious, where you get a manager who's like, "Don't cold call me," and it's like, hold on, what are you teaching your reps to do right now? Like, so you don't want to work for someone like that anyway, honestly.
Honestly, I only had it at 9 out of 10 for liability reasons. It's really
There
10 out
you
of 10, Jack.
it is rare, but I will get a screenshot or something from a client who's like, I texted this manager, they did not like it. I'm like, you don't want to work for them anyway, then all good. But yeah, we start getting you to apply for some companies. You're starting to hit the process consistently. You sent your first outbound text message. We got that in here. Let's go. Started to, yeah, just build out like this process here. How'd you do some intro videos? How hard were the intro videos?
So I actually had a unique strategy with that. So I
Okay.
found this, I used ChatGPT to help build out a script I could use. And then I'm also a little bit interested in filmmaking. And one of the things you can use is like this prompter. So I would set up my phone, and then just like you would something you'd use in the news, like the words would just go down. And I would just rehearse that script over and over and over again in that app, record the video, and send it to the recruiter without them seeing the words on the screen. And they were
Mm,
really impressed by that.
mm. That's dope, dude. Yeah, because when you're doing those intro videos, if they can tell you're reading off a script, you're not gonna look good because you're not like communicating from your heart. But the way you set it up, you maintained eye contact because the prompter, that's yeah, that's genius. I love that.
But
How were those received? Those intro videos?
oh, they were very well received. Very
Mm,
impressed. People were like, "Yeah, let's set you up with an interview. I'll pass along your resume, stuff like that."
come on, let's go. Yeah, man. So you're looking nice in your suit here, all dressed up. Look at you, all the different angles. Dude, you were grinding too, because you had the long commute, the job search, you had a bunch of interviews, and it was exhausting. From like an energy perspective, how did you stay locked in?
I just told myself that, failure wasn't an option. and it can't get worse than this. And I just really had a strong belief in myself that in the end, if I just worked really hard, something good is going to happen for me. And so that's what kept me going. And then, I suppose it could be easy for someone to like lose motivation during the process or to feel like they want to quit. But you just got to remember the reason, why you started this in the first place. I started because I felt trapped. I felt like I'd never be able to fully realize my potential as a human being. But my goal of getting into tech sales, where I could work from my computer, where I don't have a 3 hour daily commute, where I'm not going to be drained of energy, that purpose was so much bigger than any temporary fatigue I felt. And I could just derive unlimited motivation to just keep going, especially after I started seeing results and interviews get booked.
Yeah, there's a waiting period. Like honestly, right now where we're scrolling here, it's like, how many active interviews are you in? Zero. You're starting the work though, right? Like you joined whatever, early November. You're starting to do all this work, videos and scripts and Apollo and text, and you're like, dude, this is a lot of work. And it doesn't really make sense though until you start landing the interviews and then you start moving forward to the next rounds. And then you start to realize, like, holy crap, this works. Like here, November 19th, Ask Elephant, you landed your fourth interview. Because I think you came in with a couple interviews in pipeline, right?
But
And so, like, is this when things started to feel like, oh shoot, man, like this is gonna work? What advice would you have given Matt, who was kind of like at the very, very beginning of Sword? Now that you're sitting here starting your freaking big boy job tomorrow, what advice would you have given younger Matt?
probably tell younger Matt, just, listen to Jack. There's a reason that people are landing jobs using his mentorship, and it's because he knows something that I don't. So just do it Jack's way. Listen to the way that he talks about things. Do what he says. Go through the packet the right way. Don't cut corners. Everything is there for a reason, and eventually you'll just succeed like everyone else who's followed your program.
Yeah, man. I always tell people like the only reason you're not going to get a job is if you give up. It's that simple. And you never gave up. You were just like, cool, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. And that's what started to happen. Like we started to get some interview prep down. Um, Interview went well. You're moving on, crushed it, kept going through the process here. Just trying to figure out like what the next milestone is. Um, Scrolling through here. Yeah, so dude, at this point, like you're just moving through a bunch of interview processes. Like things started to get a little crazy, right? It was like a lot of interview prep. Do you remember how, what do you think like worked the most for preparing for interviews? What was the best thing that helped you?
Like really having that introductory script down really helped me the most.
Okay.
Where, I have my full story, I introduce myself, and then right at the end, I have a few variables that I would plug in dependent on the company and position I'm interviewing for. Like, uh, that's why I'm motivated to help X company, uh, solve problem for XY persona.
Mm.
And a lot of people that I interviewed with really impressed like by that because it tells them I did my research. Because I did.
Yeah, dude, that's so good. I've had as a manager, I've had people come into my interview, and I want to test them. I want to test their knowledge, and so I'll ask them like, if you were to put this in your own words, like, what do we do and who do we sell to? And I've had people on the interview look up, like, go to my website. I can tell because I can see it in the reflection, and they're like, yeah. So from my understanding, you sell scheduling software to restaurants. And I'm like, bro, this is bad. So you come in and you're like, I'm Matt. here's what drives me. Here's who I am. Here are my experiences, and here's why I want to be at this company. I'm like, okay, dude, you did your research. Let's go. It's way different.
Another thing that I really liked about all of the training that I was able to do in your program was that it allowed me to overcome a lot of questions or objections before they even came up from the recruiter. So by the time I get done
Mm.
with my intro, the recruiter knows where I'm from, they know what motivates me, and they don't have to ask me what I know about the company because I already demonstrated. I did my research again on them. So
Yeah. I, and I think the bar is so low for recruiters where they they ask the same questions every single interview. So they're so used to like, okay, and what drives you and what experience do you have that's relevant? So when you come in and you present such a professional summary of who you are, they immediately know that you're like next level, next caliber. Because they're used to just talking to, oh yeah, I want to get into tech sales because I want to work remote. And it's like, bro, like why are we on this interview? This is rough. So um, so yeah, man, like where we were at December 4th, we were starting to talk about like, man, do we take this first offer you have? And I think we ended up taking that first offer with Zen Business, right? Um, and what did that feel like for you to get that first offer there?
felt like it was evidence of what I was hoping for. It
Mm,
gave me faith that, all of the work and preparation I've done, it wasn't for nothing. And if I
mm,
just keep going, I'm gonna go and land a better and better offer.
mm. So there's a lot of validation for you. But then with that offer, you had this link opportunity heat up, and you're like, dude, I really like this company. I want to see what happens here. So you kept going through the process. They made you do a mock call. Tell me about the mock call, man. Like, was that pretty difficult? They're usually pretty hard.
So with the mock call, I suppose one flaw in it was that I was trying to be too pushy to book a meeting with them before
Mm,
Christmas or before the new year. And the person I was mock calling really wanted to set out a date in January 7th, and I did not acknowledge that until the very end. I was like, okay, we'll follow up around January 7th. But other than that, I'd say the mock call went pretty well. And as a matter of fact, they told me that I had the best cold call out of all the candidates they were interviewing with.
dude, come on. And this is a guy who's never done B2B SaaS cold calls before. Like what? Come on. And I know, I mean, I have this whole mock call preparation guide. And so I feel like you were just so willing to embrace the process again. Like, I'm telling you, Matt, like, do what I say, it's going to work. And you did it. And then we see the fruit. And it's because you were willing to work hard and execute and get it done. So you crushed the mock call. I think we move forward to, yeah, Link said I'm the strongest candidate they interviewed. Definitely getting the offer. Let's go. And then you're getting an offer that day. What did that feel like? Because Zen Business was like, cool, I'm doing something right. I got my first offer, but this is one you really wanted. What did that feel like?
That felt really exciting. I felt like a warrior.
Mm, It's a good way to put it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm reading your message here. Like, this kind of hit me. You're like, all the workouts I've done, all the mentorships I've invested, everything on social media that says I need to be around high level people and invest in myself. It's all true. Stark contrast from where I was before the program. I'm speaking with people who I never thought I had the time of day with. They said that you're the strongest candidate they're interviewing. Thumbs up from the senior sales director. Um, dude, I just like reading this made me so proud. What did this feel like for you?
Whenever I was typing that, it was a mix between almost shedding a tear and also feeling on top of the world because before joining Sword, I tried to apply to, better sales jobs for like 4 or 5 months straight, and I had no results. And all of a sudden, like this was my breakthrough, where I could work with a real company with real upward promotion potential. And
Yeah.
it was just the confirmation of everything that I've been looking for, trying to get to that next level, trying to get a better job, better life circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, even your base pay alone is higher than what you were making in your last job, right?
Right. Whenever you factor in the fact that I'm paying for gas, paying for car repairs, I'm already making more money right off the bat without any commission.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then of course we're all in sales for the commission. So man, your life is about to change in the best way. And I'm really proud of you and I'm really grateful because I know we also had a God conversation at one point. Like, Matt, what is the big man upstairs saying? Where is he at in all this? And I feel like you were able to get back in line with like what he has planned for your life. Cause dude, I work with a lot of people. Not many people come to me and say, my dream one day is to fight human trafficking. When you said that though, I was like, oh man, this guy's like, he's destined for greatness. This is gonna be really cool. And 19 days after your first interview, you get that first offer, and then we get you into Link where you're gonna go. It just is so cool to watch the whole transformation, and I'm proud of you. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm really proud of you.
Appreciate it, Jack.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for walking through that journey. I guess what I want to ask you is kind of a reflective question of like, if you saw me on Instagram and you chalked me up as one more guru, which there's a lot of weird gurus out there, and you never signed up for Sword, where do you think you'd actually be right now? January 6th, 2026. Like, what would you be doing?
I'm not sure. I probably would have already quit my job without finding a new job first, because that's how much I was growing tired of it.
Yeah.
I guess we're find out.
Hmm. What advice do you have for the people that are out there listening that are like you, man? They were trying to get into tech. Maybe they were even making it to final rounds, but they just weren't able to get an offer. What do you think they should be doing different?
I think that the best thing for you to do whenever you're trying to level up or break into a new career is you need to surround yourself with mentorships or higher level people or people with higher agency. You need to learn how they operate, how they think, because that's the only way, you're going to make it into that next frontier of life that you're trying to get into. With tech
Mm.
sales, my first mistake was dressing up in a suit. Everybody knows it's more of a quarter zip culture. The first thing this interview to know is that I don't know tech sales. So, just surround yourself with mentorships, higher level people, people who are already doing what you want to do, and from learning from them, you'll succeed.
Yeah, I can attest to that even in marriage, man. Like my wife and I are part of a marriage group and we are being mentored by a 50-year-old couple who they've done a lot more marriage than we have. And for business, I've got a coach, like for everything, right? And so if you surround yourself with the people you want to become, that's how you learn. So man, I'm proud of you for taking the step. I know it wasn't easy, a little bit nerve-wracking, but man, you put in the work and here we are starting a new year and a new job. So congrats, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Well, you're not gonna be a stranger. You're part of Sword, right? If you need anything in this new role, I'm one message away. You know that. You've got the new training course for being a new SDR, so you should have that as well. And yeah, man, you're part of Sword. So whatever you need as you get started, you're just one message away.
Thank you. I appreciate it, John. I'll be sure to reach out.
Awesome, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you.